and fair representation in the journalism space. The Thumbs Down Award is reserved for individuals or companies whose reporting or commentary is considered insensitive, stereotypical, or at odds with NABJ's mission. NABJ specifically called out what it described as Smith's reoccurring public pattern of disparaging commentary towards prominent Black women across politics, sports, and media. They stated it can reinforce harmful narratives and undermine fair representation. In recent months, Smith has received intense backlash. He criticized Democratic U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett's political communication, calling it rhetoric for the streets, though he later apologized. He also clashed with political commentator Joy Reid. Reid accused him of targeting Black women to appeal to white audiences, sparking a public back and forth over the ratings. Also, his commentary on Kamala Harris has also drawn major criticism, including saying he felt like a damn fool after voting for her. And we can't forget about his comments made about Serena Williams' Super Bowl cameo, which even sparked a public response from Serena Williams' husband. People on social media quickly jumped into conversation once the award was announced. But the biggest response came from Smith himself. He fired back on X, calling the award the epitome of Christmas arriving early. And Stephen A. is doubling down. He just dropped a full YouTube video responding to the NABJ, calling the award the lowest insult he's ever received.
It is BS. And I get a lot of people want to pile on and they want to jump on it because you have your own individual feelings about me. I'm here to tell y'all are entitled to that. Not the NABJ. You're not entitled to that. This is me we're talking about here. I am the same guy that brought a nationally televised show to a journalism conference, which is the NABJ, the last 2 years. Did you have anything to say about me then? Did I get a thumbs down then? First Take, a nationally televised show, which has been #1 for 14 straight years.
Jeff, you're muted, my friend. Yeah.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Men's Table. I'm your host, Jeff St. James, and we have Dr. Will in the building, Mr. AJ Rants and Reactions, Mr. Darwin McPherson, and the real Stacey Prince is going to join us very shortly. How you fellas doing, man?
Doing good,
Dr.
man.
Will's probably still happy with that Knicks win. I was rooting for your boys, man. And I'm by default, I'm a Sonics fan, but I don't have any Seattle Sonics.
What?
Because I am a Spurs fan because I went to grad school down in San Antonio. So I'm technically a Spurs fan, but I was rooting for the Knicks, man. So your boys did good. So
yeah, I'm doing well.
Okay.
That sounds like you pick, people with speech impediments.
Nah.
Yeah.
And shout out to real Stacey
Prince. Speech impediment, so
Stacey Prince pulling up in the building as well. And everybody, if you're currently watching, I see on my end we got about 230 people concurrently watching. So if you have not done so, please make sure that you like this. Make sure that you share it with at least 2, 3, or even 4 people. And make sure y'all comment and let us know that you're here and in the building. And if you have any questions or comments that you want to make sure for sure, if you just want to show love, feel free to hit that super chat button. So, y'all, we got Stephen A. Smith is making the news. Let me go ahead and remove this and put this up. And apparently a lot of people are basically saying that, he's getting the Thumbs Down Award from the National Black Journalist Organization. And it seems to be more so in reference, especially to what they claiming is his disparaging comments about high-profile Black women. And I want to see, what are your initial thoughts about all of this? And let's, Dr. Will, you can start if you like, or Stacey, since you guys are some of our more or newer guests. Go ahead, Dr. Will.
Well, I saw Stephen A's defense. I saw his rebuttal when I saw him bringing up all of the the woman who he's employed and how he did a podcast working with this person and how he was working with this person with a HBCU. So I saw his response, and it's like, to me, the burden of proof is on the people making the claim that he hates black women, because that's a hard claim to make. That's real aggressive. That's a real aggressive claim. So you got to come with your receipts. And if their only receipts is what he said about Jasmine Crockett, what he said about Serena Williams, what he said about Kamala Harris, if what he said with him being a sports commentator, or you could just say a political commentator, I know he's trying to get into the political realm. So him saying something about Jasmine Crockett and Kamala Harris, especially with him being more leaning to the right as a conservative, you sort of understand it. And then what he said about Serena Williams, that was valid to me. Like, you're going out there and you married, but you saying something about someone you used to deal with and all that stuff. And then I didn't get the whole point of someone like her crip walking at her big age and stuff like that. I'm real against that type of stuff. So I sort of thought that point was valid anyway. So I'm waiting for the receipts before I say anything. I need more receipts as to support that claim that he has this hatred for black women and stuff like that. I'm not the biggest fan of him, especially when it comes to his sports opinions, and things like that. But I'm not going to just jump on a bandwagon and say, yeah, get him. I'm real big on being objective and, being fair. So I need some receipts to support it.
Okay. What about you, Stacey?
At first, all respect to you guys, man. I appreciate you having me on the show today. Brother Darwin, I'm already familiar with him, and the other brothers, much respect. Ask a Brother podcast. I appreciate it. I pretty much agree with what the brother Dr. Will said. Like, when we throw accusations out there, we must have something that substantiates the claim that we have, right? I think that we're in a space right now to where saying anything about African American women is just terrible. I mean, anything, things that are on camera, things that you can see. I believe that a lot of these things need called out. I was utterly embarrassed when I saw Jasmine Crockett crip walking in Capitol Hill. We already have strikes against us. People even make lies up on us. Durst, we give them further ammunition that is actually true. I think the way that they come at Steven Jackson is based on not so much as the things that he says have no merit, but probably because they're not hearing him say amazing things about them. You know what I mean? Which we don't have to do that. If we have a legitimate critique, we can say it without bringing up how amazing you are as well. You know what I mean? So when I see Steven Jackson, I say uncle. I don't
Stephen A. Smith.
I'm sorry. When I see Stephen Smith, I see an uncle. I don't see, and I could be wrong, I don't know, but my perspective, I don't see him selling out. I can't say that he's never said nothing that I disagree with, but what we're talking about today, I think that's a lot of people's gripe. It's we have judges who have been African-American women judges who have been arrested outside of nightclubs. What is her name? Tiffany Hart, I forget what it is. She was a mayor, I think, in Illinois.
Tiffany Henyard.
What is it, brother? Yeah. You said who?
Tiffany Henyard.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, listen. Sometimes, they even did a reenactment of the Martin show when he carried that dog around, stuffed dog. There comes a point in time, man, where we got to say something, you know what I mean? So, I kind of side with him, you know what I mean? Like the brother, Dr. Will said, whatever your quarrels is with him, voice them and be able to get them across to where other people see that you have legitimate merit. That's what I see it.
Okay. Darwin and then AJ, what y'all think?
I never really heard him say anything positive about any black women, so I never heard him say anything negative. I'm trying to pinpoint it, but I have seen him speak on black issues, and it does seem he's more leaning towards get these niggas in order type, energy. Or y'all need to get it together, you know what I'm saying? And y'all monkeys need to get y'all I see more of that in Stephen A. than anything, but I haven't really seen him go after any black women. The closest thing I can think of, and I can't really quote exactly what he said, was somewhere along the issue with Angel Reese and what's the other girl, Caitlin Clark,
Mhm.
coming into the initially coming into the WNBA, and who's better, who's the face of the league, and him kind of more leaning towards Caitlin Clark, and having things to say about the way, what's the name, Angel Reese dress or whatever, or carry herself on the
Mhm.
court, attitude, her personality and character and stuff like that. But I wish I could have watched the clip of what he said about Jasmine Crockett, so I can have a little bit more accuracy on what's going on. But that's all I got for right now, guys.
Okay.
I think,
AJ, what you think?
so I'm not the biggest Stephen A fan. You know, he has some crazy takes in sports. And I think that sensationalizing language he says when it comes to that is politics. It kind of bleeds over and you kind of just roll your eyes, you know. But I think the issue is, call it journalism, call it media. You know, non-black men are allowed to Simon Cowell and say all types of crazy stuff, and they aren't judged for it. Kevin Samuel said this exact thing where white men, Asian men are allowed to actually express themselves, but us black men can't. You know what I mean? And if you think about, was it media, the workplace, anything else, you got men competing against other groups of men. And it seems like us black men are the only ones where we're in the ring fighting the white man, the Asian man, or whatever. But we got to look outside the ring at the woman and be like, is this okay to throw this punch? Is this okay to throw this punch? So we're distracted instead of being able to fully fight the competition, right? And then there's another thing that if you look at like hip hop and rap culture, it's one of the only genres of music where they say, oh, such and such fell off, right? So you'll have like Darwin make an album, it'll be out for like a year. His tour is over, and then, oh, well, Darwin, he ain't had an album, he fell off. It's like, wait a minute. He's still popular, like he's still here. We're trying to find reasons to disqualify the celebrities or the people who are doing things in our community. It's this weird thing that seems to be something that we do more, where we're trying to disqualify, you know, your celebrities, authors, academics. We're trying to find something to kind of bring them down a peg. And I think that the woman in that clip said, well, I know he ain't going to talk about and listed all these positive things he's done and then say that's all null and void because of something they think he said. So it's like, why even do anything then? Why do all this positive stuff if one negative comment that they think is negative can just disqualify every single solitary thing you've ever done, and now you're nothing? It's crazy.
Man, we gonna get to that. Mumia, are you there? I don't know if he's there right now. But Darwin, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play one of the things that he actually said about at least Jasmine, to see if the way in which he's framed and how people are describing him every time he gives his criticisms, if it even holds weight in comparison to what he's actually said. So let's play this.
Jasmine Crockett chooses.
Let me get that off the screen and then do boom.
Express herself. I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work. Work is saying, that's the man in power. I know what his agenda is. I'm not exactly in a position to stop him since the Republicans have the Senate and the House. But maybe if I'm willing to work with this man, I might get something out of it for my constituency. Because like Joe Manchin said, he's there to represent, or was there for 15 years to represent, the people of West Virginia. She's supposed to be there to represent the people of Texas. I don't know. Maybe that just sounds ignorant because it's so simple. But it ain't that damn complicated. We make it complicated. Damn, it's frustrating. It really can be.
I don't know if you would categorize this as a third rail or a pitfall, as you describe, but in your book, you talk about how when you were first starting with, quite frankly, you were concerned that the black community might see you as a sellout, as an Uncle Tom. And as you know, some of those criticisms have come about lately. And I want to just play a quick clip to get your reaction.
Sure.
To use your platform in order to not only come for me, but consistently kind of have a track record of coming for black women, I was just very disappointed in him.
They're paying you not for your numbers, my friend. They're paying you because you are willing to say the nasty things about black people that they want to say.
Your reaction?
They should be ashamed of themselves. Where's your evidence?
Well, Crockett, you have apologized.
Well, let me tell you what I apologized for. Trump followed up what I said by calling her low IQ and stuff like that, which I found appalling. She's a highly educated woman. She's licensed to practice law in the state of Texas, Arkansas, and federally. She's a United States representative. She's an influential, intelligent, decent, good black woman who cares a lot about black people in this country. So I apologized for assisting in any way this notion that it's okay to say that about her, because I didn't want any parts of that. But I did feel that the situation was overblown. I was simply saying, is cursing the president out and calling him a piece of on national television or in front of a national audience going to help your constituency? I wanted to know the answer to that question.
You know, it's not just Joy Reid and...
Well, let me say something about Joy Reid. Let's get this out of the way. I don't know this woman. I've met her one time. I shook her hand once. I've never spoken to her in my life. And she's responding that way because when she got fired by MSNBC, her show got canceled. I spoke on it. And what I said was, she is a talent, highly intelligent woman. I respect her. The issue, however, is that if your numbers drop 47% and you are black, in this culture that we're living in, did you really expect something else to happen? Of course they were going to do that to you. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, I get what you're saying and you might be right. But the manner in which you're going about it, that ain't going to serve you well long term.
But why is it that many black women have had this criticism on Stephen A. Smith?
Who are the many? Because I think they're a few.
All right. So again, I'm very, before I even give my personal opinions, I'm very interested to see, and Maria, you can kind of hop in here. This is what they're using as an argument of him being very disparaging towards black women specifically. Now, the argument is twofold, I think. There's an argument that they're saying that he's been doing this for years towards black people in general, and that more recently, over the last 2-3 years, pretty much right around election time for presidential election, with his critique of former Vice President Harris and obviously Jasmine as well. They're saying that he's going from just legitimate critiques to actually disparaging or attacking them. What you think?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for having me on once again. I see my brother Stacy Prince has joined us. Glad to be here. Let me look in the camera right now and say this directly to, and I consider Stephen A. not just a brother and that we're both black men, but also an adopted, native son. He started his career here in the city of Philadelphia in the 1990s. I know him very well. Used to listen to him mix it up with Howard Eskin on WIP sports radios. I know him very well. Read his columns in the Philadelphia Inquirer. Let me say to my brother, my adopted native son brother, Stephen A. Smith, brother, welcome to the Black Manosphere. We embrace you with open arms. Okay? Because and I was watching a clip and I sent it to you guys in the back channel. We have our own private WhatsApp group. We talk shop every week for the show. Ice Cube did an interview with Tucker Carlson. And it was a flashback, and they was talking about the events of 6 years ago in 2020. Y'all remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Foxhole,
Yeah.
cocktails with Queens incident. So I say to my brother from out on the West Coast, Ice Cube, the red pilling of Ice Cube. You know, it's interesting to me, my brothers, that day unto day and night unto night, the Black manosphere continues to be vindicated. We got people like Miss Kendra G so upset because she's being compared, or actually, she's being compared to our good friend and dearly departed brother, St. Kevin Samuels. She's angry about that. I don't know why. Why is she angry? I mean, he's the gold standard. Is he not? Is he not the gold standard by which all in our space are now measured? He is akin to Michael Jordan. I mean, that's, Kendra G being angry that she's being asked about the comparison between her and Michael and Kevin Samuels is like LeBron James being angry about being compared to Michael Jordan. I mean, come on, man. What are we doing here? And it's the same thing here with our brother, Stephen A. Smith. Let's be clear about something, my brothers. There is absolutely no evidence, none, that was presented by the National Association of Black Journalists, not Black activists, not Black ideologues, not the National Association of the Black DEI group. No, the National Association of Black Journalists. They presented no evidence that Stephen A. Smith has betrayed the ethics and canons of good journalism. They presented no evidence. None. This is a smear job. This is a DEI hack job. That's what it is. And look, if they don't like what Stephen A. Smith has to say, that's one thing. Fair enough. Good people can disagree. But to make this out as if it's some type of betrayal of journalistic ethics, I don't think so. Stephen A. Smith has paid his dues. He's put in the work. The man has got a 3-decade track record. He's been around longer than many of the people holding finger wagging at him right now. Okay? His byline goes way back. He put in the work. Now, you can disagree with them. I don't always agree with Stephen A., but I will always respect his professionalism. Brother wears sharp suits. Sharp. You know what I mean? Suited and booted. Professional, successful. One of the baddest that ever did it. And as far as I'm concerned, he is right to say what he said about Miss Joy Reid. I'm sorry, Miss Joy Reid. The truth just has to be told. Ain't nowhere you gonna go in this good country of ours where you have a 47% drop off and you still gonna have a job in the morning. Ain't nowhere you gonna go and do that. That's number one. Number two, with regard to Miss Jasmine Crockett, former Congresswoman, he was right. There's this nasty habit of Democrats on the left, I'm looking at you, Hillary Rodham Clinton, of adopting a Black dialect when it comes time to vote. Now they down with the people. She did that. She built a career on this trap persona. We all saw what Kamala Harris did.
Yeah, Kamala did the same thing.
With Megan Thee Stallion. We saw that. So Stephen A. was right to point all that out. That was not an attack on her as a Black woman. If it would have been Jamal there, it would have been the same thing. What are you delivering for your constituents back home? We know what she delivered for them. She delivered a big L because she's no longer a congresswoman, nor is she a senator in Texas. So we know that. That's what she did. She delivered nothing. Nothing. As far as I'm concerned, Stephen A. Smith, the only problem that Stephen A. Smith, the only thing I can see that he kind of messed up with was they basically baited him with, how often do you beat your wife? They baited him with that. And he should have never went for it. He should have went both feet in with Trump. You ever notice Trump don't apologize for nothing? He don't back away from nothing. He should have stood 10 toes down and demanded that they not, Bishop, what's his name? Bishop Tatum or whatever his name is. I saw him online, running in there. Hey, listen, man, ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. Stay in your pulpit. I'm talking to the sister that heads up the National Association of Black Journalists. Make her present the proof. Make her do it. She's the one that made the charge. She has to be the one to make the proof. Carl Sagan said it best. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Make her present the proof. Make her do it.
I got a question.
Don't you comment nothing. Oh, I hired this person. I hired that person. I love black women. Then you ain't got to do all that.
You ain't got to do all that, brother.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not going to listen anyway.
Yep. And real quick, because I want to read these super chats. If Stephen A. Smith actually made a mistake, because I can actually understand some of the criticisms, because people were saying this for years about him going as hard as he does towards the black community or really black athletes in comparison to many of the white counterparts. Like, that was a legit argument. We're going to actually play some clips related to that. But this idea, and I want to say this to every single black man currently watching, and everybody, if you're currently still watching, feel free to make sure you like this, make sure you share it with at least 2, 3, or even 4 people. Because when we get to additional clips with his critiques against VP Harris, and even some of the additional reactions and responses from Jamel Hill and Don Lemon and others, Stephen A. Smith or whoever knows him, if y'all send this to him, please share this segment with him or share this entire episode with him. Stephen A. Smith, when you list off your credentials, your what you've done for black women, I hope you know this is your ninja wake-up call. They don't care.
Facts.
They don't care about your black daughter. They don't care about the black women you've promoted, you've advocated for, given opportunities to. They only care about it until they don't. This was your wake-up call to realize, somebody had put it in the chat, if you want to know who runs the community, find out who you can't criticize.
Voltaire.
Because for the longest, you've been able to criticize black men all up and down. Athletes, politicians, different groups or whatever. Now, I've personally seen him critique, let's say, Gavin Newsom, other particular liberals, and some of the insane policies that they have, and even people who happen to be white. But overwhelmingly, I'd acknowledge it too. He's definitely more heavy-handed when it comes to his critique against the black community and particular segments of it. But let's make it clear, Stephen A. They will throw you out with the bathwater whenever you start putting your time and attention too much on them. And we just played a couple clips of his critiques against Jasmine Crockett, and I'm trying to figure out what was the problem. And what Mamiya just said is accurate. Y'all are so interested in what he says and whether he's allowed to say it against black women. Did y'all ever ask if he's right? Because the secondary question we got to ask is, let me turn this up. Who is allowed to critique black women in the black community? Let's put this. It can't be Stephen A. It can't be other black women because they're called sellouts as well. They're called house pick-me's, house slaves, the whole nine. So let's move out the black women that's actually bold enough to do it. Clearly, it can't be no black man because too many of them are scared to ever say that our black women have anything to improve on. Political performance, relational performance, sexual behavior, how they act. And there's nothing that anybody is allowed to say about one group in this community. And until we acknowledge that and reconcile that, I have nothing to prove to any of y'all that have that mindset. Call me a coon, call me a sellout, because I now realize and know when y'all say, well, we don't like how he did it, you're lying. Because it's not about how, it's the fact that he did.
Correct.
Y'all, and when I say y'all, I don't even just mean the majority of black women, and specifically liberal black women that think this way. It's also the men that get behind it and D.L. Hughley and others. They enable this mindset where they're placing black women at the level of black Jesus. That's the truth.
Valuable.
So
it's like the Pope hat. It's
they don't give a fuck about how many black women you have hired, have promoted, have given opportunities to.
How long you been married to a black woman?
Whether you're married to a black, that don't mean a goddamn thing. It's very clear and evident. They'll use you until they don't. Because the moment you say, well, I don't like how VP Harris is moving, this is going to cost her the election. Why is Jasmine Crockett moving like this? This is ridiculous. I wouldn't feel comfortable about my wife dancing to come at her ex when she in a whole relationship with me, talking about Serena Williams. Those are things that healthy, straight black men agree with. But now he's realizing his ninja wake-up call, which is, brother, if you didn't realize it, you can critique LeBron James. You can criticize Kyrie Irving. You can critique a whole bunch of different groups. There's one group you can't. So if you never knew that you was on a plantation, good sir, now you realize what it's like to finally step up off of it. So Darwin, I want you to come in after I read these super chats because I know you had something to say. And then Dr. Will, I want you to jump back in. Major League, well, shout out to Major League for becoming a member. Dr. AJ, thank you for the $2. Shout out to the big bro, Stacy Prince, pulling up in the building. Truth MT, $1.99. Hi, Prince. Honey, hi, chat. Stay ones. Okay, good brother. Sending them through. Avery Carter, thank you for the $5. This is what happens when you don't kiss their butt.
Correct.
Lord Geotron, thank you for the $5. Good evening, Mr. Prince. If you could please give Mamiya Obsidian Ali my biggest shout out. Tell him I look forward to the Manosphere Conclave.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Avery Carter, thank you for the $5. I hate to say this, but I think it's time for us to separate from our enemy. Woo. That's the enemy that could be under our own roof. Isaiah B19, thank you for the $2. Avengers Assemble, looking forward to the knowledge. And y'all, we're almost at 600 people concurrently watching, so please like. Make sure that you comment. Let us know you're in the building. And make sure you share this with at least 2, 3, or even 4 people. Avery Carter, again, they didn't start talking about him until he got his contract. We're going to get to that as well. Isaiah, thank you for the 1,000 jewels and the GOAT trophy. Lord Geotron again. Ayo, Jeff, let's keep laughing at them. Cookif, thank you again for the 5. Kevin Samuels used to comment that other races watch the behavior and are often shocked. Even President Obama will lecture his own. And Growth Talk, hashtag Knicks in 5. So Darwin, what were you about to say? I know you had a question.
Well, there was one important thing that stood out in one of those video clips. Mm-hmm. One of the ladies said that Stephen A says a lot of things that I guess the white people are not able to say or wouldn't say. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to keep their job. Mm-hmm. That stuck out to me because then that changes things, how I look at it. If we can listen to or we can recall some of the things he said towards black women or even black people, is it safe to say that if a white person in his position said those same things, would he be able to keep his job? Because I'm trying to see if there's invalidity in that. Does he say things that?
Yeah. Let's park there with what you just said. Number one, why would we expect people who aren't black to be allowed to get away with doing it in the first place? What I think is happening is we're moving the goalposts. This is my argument. When it comes to every other community and the inner workings of what's happening in their groups, they're allowed to speak on that. As a black American, it's really not my place to talk about what's happening amongst Jamaicans, to talk about what's happening amongst all these other groups. What I just said, hold on. So what I just said earlier is, all right, nobody, if other people were to say they're to lose their job, good. All right, so now let's get to our community. Who is allowed to say it? What I'm arguing is the thing that they're saying is, oh, he's the mouthpiece for. What I'm arguing is, I think what's happening in this community sometimes is they're conflating black people who legitimately hate the black community, hate themselves, they're worshiping white folks and all this other stuff. They're basically arguing criticism and critique in all forms is the same thing as speaking for white people and white supremacy. So basically, if you say anything about the black community, or more specifically about black women, by default, you're a white supremacist. They're saying there is no way in which when they say you're just speaking for white people, you're speaking for races, you're speaking for, then that means nobody can ever say anything. That's the game. That is a trick. Was what I'm arguing. That is a trick.
I understand what you're trying to do.
It's a silencing tactic.
It's a silencing tactic.
I understand what you're saying, but
they want to try and use.
It doesn't really answer the question I was looking for. I get what you're saying.
Mhm.
But my question is, if a white person, if Stephen A. Smith, I mean, not Stephen A. Smith, I'm sorry. Who was the other guy that used to work with him but went off to go work somewhere else?
Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless.
Let's just pretend Skip Bayless were saying the same things that Stephen A. said to black women and about black people.
Okay.
Is it safe to say that he would lose his job?
But here's the thing: what you just did, you said
Hold on,
black
hold on,
women,
hold on,
and
AJ.
black people.
Hold on, AJ.
It's just a simple question.
I thought I said it clear, but I'll try to say it again. It's not just because anybody outside of the community could lose their job, lose endorsements, lose all this stuff. That's one part of the element. What we're arguing is you keep using that as an argument to keep anybody from being allowed to say anything.
Actually, I'm not using it as an
Not
argument.
you, I'm saying them.
I'm just simply trying to see if there's any validity in it. If the color of his skin was white, and he was saying those things.
Yes.
This is the third time asking this question.
Yes.
Would that white man be able to keep his job?
Yes. I'm answering for you. Yes.
Okay.
Because it's not your role to begin with to go to that level of detail about what's happening in the inner workings of the black community.
I did not know that.
Yes.
I thought we all had the freedom of speech to speak on any race if we wanted to.
You can technically, but there's typically more consequences. The problem I'm arguing is when it comes to our black community, saying, well, you're speaking for white people and white supremacists is a strategy and technique to insulate yourself from any and all forms of criticism.
So now that you answer that,
different.
is there a such thing in all the history, even up today into 2026, of white people using a black voice to say the things that they couldn't say, otherwise they would lose a job, career, or clearance?
Absolutely.
But say the things about who? Because it would be different if black women were to get this angry if the white mouthpiece were saying this stuff about us.
Who's saying it? Which white person is saying it?
What I'm saying is that it's inconsistent because it's not critique about our community as a whole. It's critique about black women. If we were to see them marching for Stephen A. saying bad stuff about us, that's different. But what if they want to be insular and then watch him trash us? They want to, as long as it's us, they don't care.
I remember us having a conversation about how even though things are the way they are, there's a number of people that still don't like black people, us when it comes to white folks. If white people can say it, why aren't they saying it?
I don't know how much we're actually on. I know there's a huge percentage of black people that's super convinced that like every white person is always thinking about us 24/7.
But they won't dare say it because, especially on that level, that Stephen, that journalism level.
Let's use the example. Let's use the examples. Example Exhibit A. VP Harris, Kamala Harris, putting out Meg Thee Stallion to twerk on a presidential stage. I don't give a fuck what white people think about it. I'm sure that there were white people who thought it was a problem, as did other groups. But within our group, a lot of us had a problem with that. Just by critiquing that and saying that's a problem, and that makes us look bad as a group, and it makes our women look bad, and it makes us not look like we're to be taken seriously. You're speaking for white people. And I'm like, hold on, bro. Either we're allowed to criticize, like you said, anybody in this community, or we're not. Simply the argument of every time I say something y'all don't like about your politicians or your political party, you're speaking on behalf of white people. They're not even using that argument consistently because the same group that will say that will use those attacks against black conservatives. This is why I'm saying it's actually a tactic. They don't even actually believe this. They're literally calling the same people that are saying you're speaking for white people are calling people coons.
But
I agree. I think two things can be true at once. I believe that you can use it as a way to cover yourself and just call people a sellout or whatever. You can also use it as a way to you can get a black person in a high position and voice your frustrations through. I think somebody said Officer Tatum in the chat. I don't know what he does on that level. I've heard some things about him, but I just wanted to make sure before I had, lean my, whoever I agree with on this panel towards whatever way, because I like to play neutral first to see what can I understand about both sides. And if a number of things are true, then I would consider that. You know what I'm saying? If we know that white people are very, very articulate and using black voices to voice their frustrations to protect themselves and their careers and stuff.
Yeah.
I do know there's a possibility that could happen at that level. I just don't. We can't confirm and verify that it's Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah,
but we can agree that it is possible.
Now
just don't
that
have the
I agree with
evidence.
you, it's absolutely possible. But I'm going to say it again: the same group that says when you're disparaging, attacking, critiquing, and criticizing black people, what you're doing is speaking on the behalf of white people. And what I'm asking is, are those same people also attacking other black people when they go against the Democrat agenda, when they go against the liberal agenda, when they speak out against certain things that's not a part of the group or the mass group? Do they attack their blackness? Do they sell that they're sellouts, coons, and house slaves? So what I'm arguing is they only use that argument when you're going against the black women or the black people that they are in agreement with.
Right.
Right. So that's my issue with it, because like nobody would say, well, you're speaking for white people when you criticize Anton Daniels. When you criticize anybody who's no longer affiliated with the left or liberals, if you're allowed to free range, criticize them, call them whatever you want. We just saw the cartoon at the beginning. That thing's going viral of them making it seem like, he's the coon and all this other stuff. They have no problem using racist language toward black people when they get out of line with the left and the Democrat liberal agenda. So
what about black women though? Have you seen any white men talk like that towards black women?
Outside of Nick Fuentes, not really. Not really, but
again, I'm talking about on a level where you can actually lose your career. On the Stephen A. Smith level, have you seen any white people or white men talk about black women like that?
The only one I've personally heard more recently is, especially from a high-profile, prominent people, was like Serena Williams and her sister. They would talk about how they looked. They would talk about that, just all that whole history. Then Jasmine Crockett, I have seen an influx of white men and women critiquing her decorum, how she carries herself, and using slang on the official floor, and saying like that's ghetto. Not some people say ghetto, but really unprofessional. Why is she acting like that? Why is she using that accent? I have
no, it is ghetto. It is ghetto.
Yeah, I have seen that. Yeah. But let's get everybody else up back in here. So Dr. Will, AJ, and Stacey Prince.
Think about Jasmine Crockett, if I could just throw this out there.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I'm from the suburbs, all right? This is the way that I speak. Jasmine Crockett speaks like I do, okay? There's old video footage of, hi, I'm Jasmine Crockett, how are you? And now she just made this whole persona, right? So I think that her whole persona, it was fake as well as irritating to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And she finally, became senator or congressperson and decided that this was the path that she was going to take. And I think that the people like authenticity, and she just wasn't authentic. And that's kind of that hidden variable that people didn't see, But I really, 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 really think that, when Kevin Samuels talked about the Ice Cube thing, he was saying how black men and black women might as well be two different racial groups, because when you talk about black, we don't even really use black people anymore. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's when you criticize what group are you called the white supremacist? And it's usually black women. You can say anything you want about us, and it's fine. Stephen A. can, like Jeff said, can talk bad about any black athlete or say craziness or whatever he wants. But the moment that he stepped over that line, and just like Mamiya said, he's getting red pilled now. He's getting checked by these group of people, and he should not have apologized. He shouldn't. Mm-hmm. He shouldn't, because other men are looking. Other men in his space, the Asians, the Middle Easterns, are looking and saying, why is this prominent black man? He has to sit there and drag himself across broken glass to his woman. I don't have to.
What do you say? AJ? I was raised by a single black woman, and I love black women, and bro, they don't care. That's
Yeah.
why they're doing this to you right now.
He
Yeah, that was
apologized.
a huge mistake he made.
He
You
apologized
never, when
because he was
somebody
wrong.
asks you how often do you beat your wife, make them prove that you have a wife to beat. Make them prove it.
But did he apologize because he felt like he was wrong?
The only thing I've heard him apologize was but he haven't said it in the clip. He apologized for the way in which Trump jumped on what he said to add further insults that went way beyond what he said towards Jasmine Crockett.
So basically he apologized for the gasoline that was thrown on the fire.
Correct.
Yeah.
He should have never did that. He should have never backed down. That's one thing. Whether I'm not here to, well, I voted for Trump 3 times, but let's put that aside. No matter what you think of Trump, one thing is sure, he don't back down on nothing he says. He never goes back. He never does that because he understands that that's only giving your enemy ammunition, as we see right now with Stephen A. He should have stood 10 toes down and stayed on that point about the president of the NABJ. Nah, sis, you got to bring receipts. I want to see the receipts of where I violated journalistic ethics. Show me the receipts.
You know what?
He should have stayed on a steady beat with that every day. Thank you. That's his name. Talbert Swan, that's his name. Talbert Swan coming in here. Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. He up there jumping in with his cape flapping in the breeze. That the simp that he is, Bishop Simp, he comes in here with this nonsense. Nobody asked him. The question was asked of the sister that runs the National Association of Black Journalists. She's the one that made the claim. By the way, she issued other awards against other black men too, I might add. And by the way, here's something else you could add to the docket, Jeff.
What?
Did you brothers know that in the year 2019, the National Association of Black Journalists gave Oprah Winfrey a Lifetime Achievement Award? Did you know that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Miss Color Purple herself. Yeah. Yeah, get a Lifetime Achievement Award. But they're going to do this to Stephen A. He should have stood 10 toes down every day demanding that she either debate him live or present the evidence that he violated journalistic ethics.
Now, let me read off some of these. And this is the problem when you say black women are when you say critiquing or criticizing black women's behaviors and statements is the same thing as hating them and disparaging them. Let's look at some of these and let's see, is this really even called for? One of the ones I saw that stood out, what did it say? Criticize Angel Reese over her clothing while praising Caitlin Clark's branding. How is that anti-black? And how is that being disparaging? If she's wearing outfits that's too revealing, people are allowed to have an opinion. Feuded with Monica McNutt after she challenged his show's limited WNBA coverage before Caitlin Clark. Nobody was watching. What are you talking about? How come she wasn't challenging him about how much they don't cover hockey? How come she wasn't challenging about how much they don't cover baseball? Much bigger sports with much bigger viewership, and they weren't covering that either. So they said defended ICE after the killing of Renee Good. Okay, I know this is going to sound shocking to some black people, but there are people that's like, listen, they have a job to do, and their job is to make sure American citizens are the only ones that are here. So even if you felt like they went too far, did something wrong, let alone whether or not she could have just listened to them or not tried to block them or use her vehicle
or not drive down to where there's 13 armed agents. Don't get in your car and drive across the city to where there's 13 armed officers. How about that? Don't do that. Bad idea.
So attack Jasmine Crockett for her criticism of Trump. They're listing things that you should be allowed to do. Now, are there some things that I would personally, like what Darwin said, if there's anything on this list that I would be like, you know what, I'm on that Jerry Jones one. That Jerry Jones one, I don't know if people remember that. The Jerry Jones one where he kind of jumped up wanting to defend Jerry Jones about that segregation related photo. I wouldn't have jumped in the line of duty to defend him for Jerry Jones is a grown man and got to speak for himself with that. But he's listing any and all of these various different disputes, either connected to black women or something relating to Republicans and conservative politics. And I said, this is a Democrat hit job, bro. This is a Democrat hit job. And a liberal hit job. This is all this is. And when I say Democrat and liberal, what I'm arguing is if it offends black women, it's disparaging. Period. It's not about whether or not are you allowed to go back and forth with Monica McNutt on your own show, or Monica McNutt just allowed to say what she wants?
That's what it is.
Is nobody allowed to acknowledge that they preferred how Caitlin Clark kind of handles herself coming out of college in comparison to how some of the WNBA players were acting and talking about her? Or
read Angela Reese.
Yeah, Angel versus Angel Reese, or we just have to side with Angel Reese no matter what. What they're trying to tell you what just happened here in my mind is, if you didn't realize you're on a plantation, you know what? Let me do this. Where's it at? Here's it.
Saw that the National Association for Black Journalists gave me a THUMBSDOWN Award.
The award recognizes conduct that harms black journalists. Stephen A. Smith, sports analyst and American commentator.
Jasmine Crockett or somebody like that. Ladies I respect, intelligent women, no doubt. But how a Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself, I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done, as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that?
Because if you listen to Stephen A. Smith and you find anything other than some absolute pure self-hating little dick energy nonsense from that half-witted idiot basking in the non-existent rays of his own ignorance.
And I also reminded folks, black men revere black women.
Self-hating little dick energy.
I think we have to agree that there's a clear through line. We're looking at the forces that make it harder for black journalists to do their jobs and harder for black communities to be covered fairly and fully. And also influential commentators whose rhetoric can reinforce harmful narratives about black people, particularly black women. I've been very clear that advocacy is central to my presidency, particularly advocacy around black women.
Yeah, there you go.
That right there, she said it. There it is. She said, not high journalistic standards, excellence in journalism. We're going to follow the canons of journalistic excellence. She said advocacy is job number one for me.
Yeah, hold on, because shout out to Media Man for compiling this together.
By the way, I love the usage of adjectives.
Soft black man, the safest man in America. He listens, he validates, and he never disagrees.
Unless it's about your self-care.
He's strong, but not too strong. Soft black man.
Are black men not allowed to disagree? Are black men not allowed to go against the grain and believe something different or critique somebody in a position of power that is a black man or a black woman without getting his head bitten off, without getting insulted? My job is to protect black men and the black man's ethnic image. Stephen A. Smith is a black man. So I don't understand why the black community is not comfortable with black men disagreeing. Stephen A. Smith just had a critique. He didn't insult that woman. He didn't call her out her name. He just disagreed. So that's why I said, Stephen A. Smith, you better not apologize.
You don't like me talking about the dysfunction of the black community. The reason why you don't like Will from Cellulite Podcast talking about the dysfunction of the black community. The reason why you don't like Anton Daniels talking about the dysfunction of the black community. The reason why you don't like Larry Elder talking about the dysfunction of the black community is because none of us blame the white man for it.
Let me say this also.
So I'm going to pause it there. When he asked the question, are black men allowed to critique black people only if they're Republican or conservative? That's the lesson to me. Now, Dr. Will, I want you to come in and Stacey Prince.
No, I would say no. I mean, I critique the black community, and I think it all falls on your reputation that you've established with the community and whether they trust you enough to critique them. Like we were saying before, when we had a discussion about interracial marriage and stuff like that, there's certain things that they look at, in the streets, they call it on your jacket or whatever, your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to look at certain things that they could poke holes in when they critique your critique of the black community. And if you're married to someone who's not black, that's one of the first things they use to critique you. Say, like, we don't want to hear what you got to say. We can't trust you if you sleep with the enemy, so to speak. So,
hold on, Dr. Will. Just let's flesh this out.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris, who's she with?
A white dude.
Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, Ilhan Omar. Who she with?
Is that a woman?
No. What I'm but what I'm going to say is
Serena Williams.
they hold that they check that when they want to check who you with, what you done. Because again, if they looked at his background and see what he's invested and done, we wouldn't be here now.
Yeah, no, but that's not the only part. Because for one, they let women get away with stuff they don't let they let black women get away with stuff they don't let black men get away with. That's one.
Right.
Two, Stephen A has had this reputation for a while. Like if you remember, I think it was in 2019 when Terrell Owens was on the podcast, not on the podcast, on their show, and he said Alex Kellerman is blacker than you. He said a white guy is blacker than you on the show. And then my only things that I think about when I think about critiquing Stephen A. Smith, I didn't like how he handled the Kyrie Irving situation. When Kyrie Irving was saying like, yo, I'm choosing what to do with my body. I don't want the COVID vaccine. And him calling him stupid and all of that. He apologized like about, a month ago or a couple weeks ago for that with the new information that's been presented. But calling a black brother stupid and stuff like that, barring the situation where he just like, yo, I'm not letting you put that in my body and stuff like that. With him being educated and knowing the history of black people in America and him knowing about the Tuskegee experiment and all of the stuff that I know he knows about, why would you then be trying to pressure a black brother into doing something like that? Like for what? When it's not necessary. And now we know that Kyrie was right. So now you're going to backtrack 4 years later and apologize, but at that time is very detrimental to what he was doing at the time. And another thing I remember him saying, these are just off my head, some of the things that were troublesome to me, where we look at him and we critique him. He said, when I wake up in the morning, one of the first things I think about is how to make my bosses more money and how to get some of it. So then the black community is looking at him, and him being a black man, knowing he has these white bosses. The first thing you wake up and think about is how to make these bosses more money with all of the stuff that's still going on in the black community and things that we got to fix and how we trying to grow. The first thing you think about is how to make them more money.
Hold on a second, Dr. Will.
Why would you say?
Hold on. Yeah, I want to hear Mamiya respond to this because it's like if most people don't acknowledge that, isn't that what motivates them when they first wake up in the morning?
Thank you.
To make my bosses more money? No.
Yes.
You are there.
I mean, that's what you're there for. No, the employer-employee relationship.
Yes,
you're trying to
literally.
get as much money out of your boss for the least amount of work, and they're trying to get the most amount of work out of you for the least amount of pay. That's how it works. How it works.
I'm not thinking about how to get my bosses more money.
You taking your black ass to the job to make the money.
To make more money.
Yeah, so by default, I'm like, even if you're going to make money for yourself, you also are making them money. So I'm just like, and that's what's motivating you to work there, to wake up at 6 a.m. to do that.
No, I would be thinking about, first of all, I don't think about money first thing. I think about the situation that my people are in and things like that. If you think about money, what would you do for the money? Is what someone else was going to question. So it goes back to what we're talking about. Would you be a token black for the money? If making your bosses more money is you going out with these certain talking points, like the Officer Tatum's and things like that, if that will make them more money, would you then go out and speak that way to get more money?
Hold on a second. Exactly. First of all, bringing in, this is the mission creep. Bringing in Tatum. Tatum, we can come back and have a panel about Officer Tatum on his own merits. We're talking about Stephen A. Smith. And listen, man, when I wake up in the morning, I'm self-employed, Black Manosphere Conclave, I'm an author. I'm thinking, how can I write better books to get black men to buy? How can I do a better podcast to get black men to buy? How can I partner with other black men to get other black men to buy? That's what I'm thinking about all day and twice on Sunday. When I was working, when I was in the work world as a skilled tradesman, my job was to make the company money. If I didn't make them money, I ain't gonna have a job. It's that simple. My job as part of the production team, or my job as a skilled tradesman on the production line, was to make products and goods that people would buy in the market. If they don't buy it, I ain't got a job. It's that
If you're
simple.
if you're not
Yeah,
trying
but
to
you
make
get
your boss money, you can either start your own business and be your own boss and do what you want, or you can walk the earth like Kane from Kung Fu and be
that's what I
both. You
am.
know what
I'm
I'm
a
saying?
boss. I started my own business, so
Yeah.
I would think people would be thinking about financial freedom and starting
No,
their
they
own
don't.
business, make. You
Most
could
of
think
them
about
don't.
making yourself more money without thinking about making some white man more money.
Well, the problem with what you said is when you said you don't think about money, and you say you think about your community.
I said I don't think
The-
about money first.
The problem with the black community is they don't think about money first.
Facts.
That's been
Facts.
plaguing us for hundreds of years. If we would actually think about money first, we wouldn't be in this situation.
If we would think about
And
behavior.
now,
we would
No.
Dr. Will, now, Dr. Will, I have a question for you in relation to what you're saying. Do you hold him to the standard of? Because I would work with people if they say they feel conflicted. They've seen problematic components of Stephen A. Smith, but they've also seen him do really good things and advocate on the behalf of Black people. Or do you and others only see him through the lens of being a mouthpiece and weapon on the behalf of his white employer / white supremacist? And the reason why I ask is because when he was going to bat for Shannon Sharp and getting him the bag, getting him the opportunity, and many of these other Black, this idea that so many of the Black faces that we've seen on ESPN were not at all connected to Stephen A. Smith advocating and pushing for them. That also is a part of his legacy too. And I'm I'm comfortable with people being like, listen, brother, you go too hard on Black people. You go too hard on Black male athletes. You didn't go hard enough on Aaron Rodgers. How do you have this energy for Kyrie Irving, but you didn't have it for Aaron Rodgers with his stance? He had the exact same stance and you didn't have that to say, and you wasn't calling him out. There's room there. And I could be like, you know what? Both those things could be true. But what I don't like is this whole idea of everything he's done for every Black person he's done it for, that don't mean nothing. You just a sellout coon and token. I'm like, that's not reality to me. What do you think about that?
No, I definitely could see. I think people should acknowledge if a person has done, good things and bad things. I think if if there's a balance, I think you should acknowledge both.
Okay.
That's why I was saying it points to what his reputation has been. He has had this reputation for the longest. He's already been considered and put into that coon bracket, so to speak, to where a Black man will get on his show and say a white man is blacker than you. That would never be said to me because of the reputation I've already established. Certain people have established reputations within the community with how we speak, with how we critique. So when we're critical of the Black community, when I'm talking about gangs and I'm talking about drugs and I'm talking about Black women behaving ratchet and doing certain things, you're not going to say that to me. They're just going to come up with another way to criticize us. You know what they say to us, the same thing that they said to Kevin Samuels and stuff like that. It's no longer you a coon, it's just now you gay.
Wouldn't they say that about you just based on you using proper English? Wouldn't they say the same thing about the way you're dressed sometimes? They'll say you selling out and you acting this way. Haven't they?
Not off of that.
I have a question for you. Dr. Will, do you ever think there's any possibility at all where, I don't know, there's some picture of you next to some white chick like Michael B. Jordan where there was some picture of him, they ran with the narrative or whatever. Do you think there's any scenario where a narrative like this can be started about you? True or not, with the way that we see these women, because you see men defending Stephen A. You see women coming after him, all saying the same script, the same talking points. Can you imagine a scenario where this happens to you?
With an AI picture, yeah.
But even then, hey, you as a Black man, that's all it takes.
I need to say something though.
That's all it takes these days.
Before you do that, I got to go back to the coon bracket. What? He actually said a coon bracket. What the hell is a coon bracket?
Hold on. What Dr. Will is saying, I've heard it. I've heard him. The Terrell Owens clip.
The guy in the video just listed off a bunch of people. Larry Elder, all of those people, Antoine Daniels, all of those people are
You're placed in
labeled
that
as
bucket.
coons.
Yeah.
That's what the coon bracket is.
That's what the coon bracket is.
Yeah, it's a certain group of people where they put you're like listed as a coon. Like you're there. We don't trust you. You're just a coon. It's a bunch of them.
Well, I want to say something, man. I think I spotted something else, and I've just been thinking about this whole thing on how are they being meticulous, or are they being intentional on who they actually scrutinize?
Come on.
People like Stephen A. Smith, when they scrutinize people, who are they doing it? And the thing it's just an opinion. It's just a hunch. What if it's any black man, any black women that don't match the decorum, the precedents that was set for how you're supposed to behave in the light? And if anybody dress a certain way, anybody crip walk, anybody talk slang, anything, these are dogs that are going to be unleashed on you. And it's like they're on assignment. And that's just what I'm seeing. Like, first of all, I wonder if Stephen A. Smith was around when Allen Iverson was in the league and he kind of changed the decorum.
He covered
how you put a professional athlete supposed to look, dress, his attire, tattoos, braids, I wonder if he was one of the dogs that was, hey, you ain't posted, So I think it's like and it's just a hunch. I think there's certain people out there that are having an assignment, and they're black. They may be black, mostly black, that are put there to get you to assimilate to the decorum of the white folks, or the prestigious, or the rich, or the elite. And if you don't look the part, not only are you embarrassing to people, you're an embarrassment to me, because I am in the space and I am subscribing to the decorum. I've embraced the decorum to match what the white men are doing. And if I don't see these black people doing it, I'm going to be the one to say something about it. Does it appear that maybe that you get that type of energy, or no? Am I off a little bit?
I will, with Dr. Wilson and what you're saying, I can absolutely see the energy being harsher and more stern for black celebrities, athletes, politicians. I absolutely agree. Now, if the question is, why is that? Again, he could speak for himself and he's going to deny it. But I think it depends on two things. One, is it what Dr. Will's saying? Is it every time he's doing this, is it because a white person is putting a battery in his backpack? Or is it because he actually cares about the optics, how it makes us all look? And or is he even just more invested because he's black? And sometimes, like, well, why don't you have this energy for Hispanics? One argument could be is because I'm not fucking Hispanic. Like, so I'm like, I'm more invested and more aware of what's happening within my community because I'm literally a part of it. So that's the issue, where it's like, and with Dr. What we were just saying, he's tough to judge for people because of stuff like this. I'm about to ink a deal where we're broadcasting HBCU games, Smith said. I'm going to need some black folks working for me as talent, as producers and beyond. And that's what I'm doing. And for anybody who's a fan of First Take or used to watch it historically, he's the only person that I've ever seen in the sports scene that was bringing us a channel, his brand and platform his size to HBCUs annually, raising revenue and prestige. He's doing what the Cosbys were doing in his own way. And I'm like, again, just to clarify now, if you want to say, I love when he does that, but I don't like when he does this, fair. But the label that you're giving him for people who have never done a goddamn thing for black people, let alone the black community, I don't know, man. I think it's a little harsh. Yes. Now, Stacey Prince, you haven't spoken in a minute, sir. What's she feeling with all of this?
I think about 80% of all of this, and I'm talking about with the politics of it, with the things that are concerning to the African American community, who's speaking out, who's not speaking out enough, things like that. I think a whopping 80% of all of this stuff is coming. There's a sister, Messy Mashawn down there.
Yeah.
Probably about three weeks ago, somebody showed me she had did a review on something I said. What I caught in it, I watched about 20 minutes of what I caught in it. She said something about me that she disagreed with, but she was saying, oh no, he's got a point with this woman right here. And she's doing this, she's doing that. What I believe, and it made me follow her because I said she's impartial. It made me follow her, even though she said something about some things that I did. You know what I mean? So I think about 80% of this, even Anton Daniels, I believe it does come off disingenuous. It, like, if we all know that there are no perfect human beings, but you have found one group of people to cast all criticism, that reeks of disingenuousness. Because with Anton Daniels, it's the first question that Corey Holcomb asked. It was, and listen, I'm telling you, when I was watching, when Corey asked that question, I said, okay, here we go. He said, okay, can you name some things? We get what you say about black people, but can you name some things going on in the white community? And some people would say, what's that got to do with anything? Well, it establishes how genuine your points and your premises are, right? If we know that we are all not perfect, you cannot have 100% of things to say only about these people. I'm going to word this carefully, but the perfect example I could give you is, we know where a significant amount of people who, the kid thing, I'm gonna just leave it at that, touching kids. We know where a significant portion of that comes from.
Correct.
My channel is probably 95% based on condemning lewd behavior that comes out of the African-American community, condemning African-Americans, women's behavior when they do this and that. But now if you go down my timeline, there's shows called Deadbeat Dads and How to Identify Worthless Men. You see what I'm saying? It establishes, should I give credence to what this person is saying? And to be honest, I think it's actually important, because if we know that no one's perfect, but yet only thing that I hear you talking about is these people right here, then I have to wonder, is this genuine? It even affects me. When I hear people go on one side, that's why, listen, I have went intentional. I barely know what the left is. If someone were to ask me, I just barely know. I saw what that stuff does to people. When they get involved in these politics, it changes people drastically, right? And you'll have someone saying, liberals, 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 liberals. Okay, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing everything that you're saying. The right, the right, the right, the right, the right. I hear it all, right? But if people see that there is no impartiality in your conversations, then it makes it more difficult, because this information, the things that we hear, is supposed to be to better us. It's supposed to be, if I'm listening to Ask a Brother podcast, I'm trying to, find out how I can do better by women. And it's really important to me. Man, I suck with women. It's really important. I need this. I'll pay Jeff. Can I get a one-on-one? But in order for me to invest that much in Jeff, man, I need to know, man, that you're authentic and that your information is legit. How do I do that? I see that what I tell people about me, mine's is not about men or women. Mine's about right or wrong. And hopefully people can see that, because then they will know, well, okay, he doesn't just get on women, he gets on men too. And I think that's 80% of what we're going through. That's the issue that I have with Anton Daniels. That stuff is actually big, man. You know what I mean? Because I need to know that your information, I can rock with it blindly.
Well,
you know what I
look,
mean?
Stacey, you also got to compensate for whenever you start talking about creators, content creators. This might overlap with journalists too, depending on how they're studying the algorithm in terms of who's viewing that TV network or where it's broadcasted to. The best practice, and you a YouTuber yourself, most of us on here are YouTubers. The best practice is to lean towards where audience retention is getting. And I can't tell, I don't think there's anybody that can convince me otherwise that Anton Daniels not only does it, but has probably mastered how to lean towards, okay, my audience wants this. This is what I'm going to represent. I don't care if I got to push it into my own character and it has to come out in my voice into a microphone. There's a way to win. And if that's the way, and you get to 1 million subs, or you become a five-figure earner per month, a lot of these creators are going to do that. So you might want to call it.
Are you condoning that? It
Am I
sounds more
condoning
like
it?
selling your soul to me.
Well, I don't know if we can call it selling your soul, but I would call
Saying
it
anything for my followers is not selling your soul.
Well, I don't think it's saying anything. I think it's saying something specific to get the repeated outcome that you've been able to get as a creator in terms of views and retention that turns into revenue. It's a desired outcome play that comes in it as a content creator. And I think as anybody in business, if your audience actually has a significant impact on what you actually say, if you want to be great or you want to be relevant and you want to make something of it. You have a lot of content creators that don't want to get on board, and you see their channels are plateauing. But the ones who are excelling
have
are
names
looking
for
at
that,
their
right?
audience and they're saying, look, I'm going to give my audience what they want. And they're creating that loyalty between them and their audience.
So Stacey, well, hold on, Stacey. What you're saying? If you're saying that Anton and Stephen A. and others, or even me and myself included, I'm sure I get the label too, of you're not even-handed with your critiques across the board. And I'm like, which platform, which channel, which news station that you know of that builds an audience and can retain it does that? Because my stance is that's typically not what's happening. You may start off balanced. Maybe you start leaning more 70-30. So Anton, as an example, when you mentioned that question, when I have watched Anton, the two particular things that stood out to me of his critiques where you would say, well, this is not just about Black people, would be specifically liberal white women and all of the different things that he thinks that they're pushing, that they're agreeing with. He blames them for the state of the country. He blames liberal white women more than anything. He says they're arguably the most destabilizing group in the country. As much as he talks about Black people, number one, he says, is liberal white women. And of a specific politician, he's repeatedly gone at Gavin Newsom from California. Now, if people say, okay, but name 5 other white politicians that he's done that with, I can't name that. So I'll be like, all right, he's not nearly as hard on critiquing liberal white people or just white people in general as he is Black people. Why is that? And is that because your algorithm is primarily a Black audience that's still rocking with you? Or is that because there's white people that's gravitating to what you're doing? Who knows? But I understand what you're saying about, like, if Stephen A comes off where he's only has this energy for Black athletes and Black celebrities and Black politicians, and specifically though, and I'm like, is it just that, or is it more so he has a particular viewpoint when it comes to, he considers himself a Democrat, like he's critiquing the person that he voted for Kamala Harris and he critiqued her as well. And I'm like, I voted for Barack Obama and I'm critiquing Barack Obama. And I'm like, there seems to be this worldview where it's like, no, you need to critique people the way we want you to. And I'm just wondering, are these people that have these expectations, are they even doing the same on their end?
No.
I do not think. I think
you're right about that, Jeff. I think you're right about it.
Listen, and AJ, I want you to come in here. I don't think the people that's holding us behind microphones to the standard, you need to be even-handed. You need to be balanced. You need to make sure you need to cover all your bases. They're going to speak from their Black lens, their Black male lens, their Black female lens. They're going to speak from their Democrat lens. And that's how they're viewing shape of the world. So for me, the same people that'll call me a sellout, a coon, a house slave, never watched my episode like Stacey did when he had his particular episode. They never watched my episode on white female teachers, where people say, don't do it, Jeff. That's dangerous territory. And I did it anyway. They didn't give a damn about how I critiqued Charlie Kirk within a week of him passing and saying what I agreed and disagreed with him on, and some of the things that I thought he did that was racist or racist adjacent. So because I talk 80% of the time about what's happening in the Black community, because it's where I came from and who I work around, in their mind, that's how I think. And I get it. That's how my platform looks. So I think maybe, Stacey, you're right. Maybe a lot of this is Stephen A has kind of created this, maybe unknowingly, because he's been so fixated on only being so hard on putting so much energy on his critique of the Black community. But I'm arguing, like, I don't know if it's just as much about race or if it's now blending more into politics. And my argument is, I don't know that this would have ever happened and people would have flipped on him to this degree until he even started talking specifically about Black women personally. Now, AJ and the others, I want y'all to come in.
Yeah, it just seems like we're having the people who don't do anything able to have an opinion about those who do. Right? You look at all that Jeff has done, Stacey Prince has done, Darwin's done, Dr. Will and Mumia. You think that I'm going to listen to some knucklehead off the street disparage you guys? Come on now. They haven't done anything. And social media has given people access to athletes, entertainers, politicians, people who are just sitting on their couch doing nothing and just having some crazy type of opinion and could build a narrative. If Jeff is sitting on his whole body of work, right?
Mhm.
And then you got some dude who's never even accomplished anything is able to try and tear him off of that. It just doesn't make any sense. And this is what people need to understand when they're actually looking at the people who are trying to disparage those who are out there actually trying to do. Now, whether you agree with what they're doing and how they're doing it, that's a different matter, but they're out there doing it. And if someone's going to come after Stephen A. or anyone else, and they're going to have such an opinion, I mean, all those women who we saw doing those, I don't know who they are, whatever, fine, but look at what Mamiya had said about Stephen A.'s whole decades of work, right? Does that compare, right? Do they really have, well, they have the right, yes, but should you consider their opinion? I say no. But if that's the case, then nothing that anyone does matters ever. And it's this weird modern, participation trophy, equality, we're all equal type of thing. And
Wait,
that's
so
just crazy to me.
Are you saying that people who haven't done as much work as us as creators or inspire, what do you call it? Influencers, we shouldn't listen to their opinions?
I don't want to, and AJ, and I'm going to respond to what Darwin just said. I don't want to do what they're doing to him, which is trying to invalidate,
disqualify him completely.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. You're actually allowed to critique and criticize me. That's why I even got behind microphone in the goddamn first place, including with Stephen A. But at least have the balls and interest and intellectual curiosity to think past your emotions before you start. When I'm critiquing particular behaviors, when I'm critiquing particular statements, and I'm showing how it's problematic, and your reductionistic explanation is he hates himself and he hates black women. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's what I'm critiquing. And I'm saying the guy that critiqued VP Harris also voted for her. So he's saying things in real time. The elections are going the way he's saying. And because he doesn't have a political background, because he doesn't operate in their circles, and he's getting outside of the parameters of what they're comfortable with politically, now he's all these things. And I'm like, okay, man, I'm calling a spade. There's a political bubble hierarchy where the further up you go, the more insulated you are from criticism and critique. Did Barack Obama do everything right politically by us and for the country? Or did he do some things wrong? And if he did some things wrong, and if you disagree with him, why are so many black people scared to say what it is out loud? Why are there stances that the current DNC has that y'all know goes against y'all faith, y'all religion, y'all upbringing, y'all tradition, even your personal views, and y'all scared as fuck to say it out loud? Y'all know y'all don't want biological males playing in the WNBA, and you won't say it because of the plantation mindset. He's willing to say that. Every straight heterosexual man that has healthy testosterone is willing to say what I'm saying and Stephen A is saying. But most of y'all are scared because you're going to lose your jobs, because you're going to lose your licensure, because black people are going to flip and turn on you, and they're going to start doing and ostracize and calling you everything they can to try to get you to fall back in line. That they'll make cartoons about you being now a coon. So my stance is, if you just want to say whatever black people do, how we show up, just let us do it. That's actually how we got to the position we're in today.
Shouldn't people be afraid to lose their job?
That's fine, but my argument is, but don't act like you're walking with integrity when you're coming at the people who do have it.
That's true.
I would
say, remind you that
because some of us actually have the integrity to actually call a spade, and they actually say something that we actually believe is true. Your ass will just vote for it anyway, even when you know you disagree with it. Y'all know y'all that makes no sense to have people coming across the border and moving into your cities and using your resources and tax dollars. Is that shocking?
Well,
We know
listen,
this.
the people that you hear mostly voicing their frustration or opinion against rainbow stuff that's forbidden in a lot of careers. Is it safe to say that a large or either overwhelming majority of those people are either self-employed or they operating in a way where they're receiving revenue that's not contingent on them having to lose their
I
career?
I would say rather than me picking between that, I'm going to pick between people who are just courageous and people who are cowards.
So you didn't answer my question.
I intentionally answered it the way that I wanted to answer it. So when I said specifically of I can't decide if you're working for yourself, you're working part-time, you're working full-time, but I can decide if you're a clinician, if you're a licensed professional therapist, and you have to make a decision and call on whether or not you think it's appropriate for a 12-year-old to go through transition surgery, I'm going to say that's a problem. And
I
that
just
you're going to
wish-
have to get somebody, I'm just going to have to say, now again, you can go to other clinicians, you can go to other psychologists, but you're not going to get me to affirm something that I vehemently disagree with. Even if
I rock with that, but I just wish we can point out, because we've said a lot of names, and all of the names that we spoke about that are actually able to voice against it, they are in the category of they don't have that to lose. I just wish I could pinpoint somebody who do have a career or security clearance or something like that.
Dr. Will prove me right every time. He's one of them.
I don't have my business on the side is I flip houses, but my primary income is I'm an educator. And over the last decade or so in education, they've been really promoting in schools the LGBTQIA stuff. Kids transitioning, calling kids by the name they prefer, and all of that stuff. I'm one of the ones who's like, I'm not doing that. My job is on the line, and then I come in public and I speak on it.
Well, I think that's safe, but I'm talking about more
That's not
like
safe. No, it's not safe. I can tell you
well,
how
hear
it's
me out.
Let me state the fact of how it's not safe.
Hear me out. Hear me out before you argue.
But I can state the fact of how it's not safe.
I think you're taking me out of context. That's why I'm trying to keep you from not rambling, but continuing. What I mean by that's safe. I mean something more like, I don't believe transgenders should be able to play in the NBA.
Okay.
I don't get it. So when I say,
are you on a record for that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm on the record saying that. I'm on the record. I said several times, a boy can't be a girl can't be a boy. I'm not supposed to say that. It's listed in the New York DOE handbook, that guidelines from the DOE chancellor, that we're supposed to call them the name they prefer. You're not supposed to tell their parent because you could be outing them. I told them no. I said, that's wrong. The person that's raising them, you think I'm not going to tell them if a kid came up to me and said, and they're really a female, they're a girl, and they say, Dr. James, I think I'm a boy, I want to transition. You think I wouldn't tell their parent? Hell no.
Why would you give me that scenario as if I'm trying to say that you, on your private conversations, that you just happen to stumble upon somebody in an interaction, that you wouldn't tell them that's not morally right?
Hold on, Dr. Will. Hold on, everybody. Hold on 1 second, everybody. There are people that are taking the ability and stance of you saying something that's unpopular, even if it's true, saying something that goes against certain groups, even if it's true, and they're coming up with tactics and strategies to prevent you from being able to say it without consequence. So to say a black woman is doing, black women in mass are condoning something we don't think is healthy, good, appropriate for the community, or specific black people or black individuals are doing something that we think is wrong, or specific black people with a particular political agenda, they're basically trying to come up with a whole host of strategies and techniques to shut you down, stop you. And I'll do it this way. If you say something if you said something from 2020 to 2024, even now, about you not voting for Kamala Harris, what is a huge percentage of black women going to do as a result if you are a single man in the dating market? I can't date you. I can't be with you. They're trying to penalize you for not voting the way they think you should have voted. Okay?
That's true.
If you criticize Barack Obama, they're going to say you're a sellout, you're a coon, you're this, you're that. They're gonna put it in your comments. They're gonna send threats your way. They may even do some death threats. They're gonna try to figure out where you work. There is a list of things that they have that people who are not cowards are the only ones that can speak on. And what I'm arguing is the very people who speak on it, even if it's true, they have a whole lexicon designed to punish you or keep your ass back in line. That's what's happening. And I'm arguing that like the very people that's actually pointing out like, yo, we got to tighten up here. You got to do this. You got to do that. This is going to hurt you economically. This is going to hurt you culturally. This is going to hurt you in the workplace. This is going to hurt you politically. When you do those things and it goes against particular agendas, they're going to target you. And what I'm saying is the people who are willing to do it happen to be the ones with courage. And the ones that are also doing that are fearful of doing it are the ones that are now using the house slave coon. You're this for the what? There's a whole echo chamber designed to kind of keep black men. The fact that we're even having a conversation about whether or not we're allowed to say anything publicly about black women, especially when you work for in certain spaces, that's how far we fall into me.
Well, listen, man, it's not all the conversation. Not all about black people. It's about other things, gender nonconforming, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But just for the record, just so to make sure I'm not misunderstood, I have courage too. But just because I didn't say it doesn't mean I don't have courage. For the record, when I was in the military, there was this thing called "Don't Ask, Don't Tell."
Yep.
You couldn't, even though you was against the, you couldn't say that was policy. If you did, then you lose your job. Do I feel like I should have said something? No. My career is more important than me having to speak out on it. It wouldn't have done me it was no net positive for me to tell somebody they shouldn't be wearing a dress. You get what I'm saying? But I did.
I think there's degrees on what telling the truth is and looks like and when it does.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So when I was speaking to him, this doesn't mean that I wouldn't tell my nephew, my son, somebody that I care about, or somebody who's coming from that advice, what the truth is. You know what I'm saying? So I can be able to maintain my adherence to a policy or something like that, or rules in which I'm operating in a career or in a clearance without having to feel like, okay, because I'm not speaking up and I'm, I don't have the courage, so to speak.
But if the people that do speak up are called and targeted, do you see how it's like an circular thing going on? Yeah, that's all I was saying. Now, real quick before we kind of wrap things up, Dr. AJ, thank you for the $5 power combo and an all-star panel. Shout out to the bro Obsidian, as we'll be both on another live stream show this Friday. Okay, shout out to AJ for that. Cape and Caveman, $5. I don't tell them I agree with Obsidian until after I clap, then after my mama black and I don't like them. LOL. Appreciate you, sir, for that. Blue Bronco, thank you for the $2. D Fun. Oh, NABG. Damn. Brother, I don't even know how to get fun. I don't know what their funding is like, but okay. Cape and Caveman, thank you for the $2. I put money. I know who got Darwin. Oh, Darwin shut down. Shake my head. Interesting. I wonder. Huh. Blue Bronco, $2. Don Lemon and Roland must be stopped. Now, this is the crazy part.
Yeah, Roland was going off
earlier
today, man. He has no room to talk about anybody.
Cape and Caveman.
Sorry, any booty. Oh,
$5. Hearing black people call each other coon makes me cringe. If they really knew the history behind that word, they'll be ashamed. It's worse than the N-word. Damn. Cook it. $5. Men are policed to the preferences of women differently based on the effectiveness of methods. Thank you. Different lines for different folks, including race. Absolutely. Cape and Caveman, $2. They want you to apologize so they can reject it. Damn. Ayo, thank you for the $4.99. The black community is so self-sabotaging. They're literally going to push him to the far right. And this is the other piece, man. I don't even know people realize a lot of us that grew up Democrat, voted Democrat, and may no longer identify Democrat, we didn't even move. The ground shifted from under us. We probably have the exact same stance as Barack Obama had in 2008 up to 2012. We may even have had the same stances as the 90s Democrats about a whole host of things. But the way that y'all attack your own, including what Media Man said, y'all gonna get it, man. And the wild part is now you're attacking people who are giving black people opportunities. Keep doing it. That's a very smart, intelligent move. Gio, thank you for the 2 jewels, 100. Luz Sosa, thank you for the $2. You have to align with every Democrat point of view. Seems like it, man. Silent Sniper, thank you for the $20. And this is after years of black women disparaging black men. Go figure. # fully fatigued. Ayo, if you're not pandering black women, black women don't want to hear it. Coach Keith, $10. Do you remember Snoop Dogg being forced to apologize to Gayle King for forcing a conversation on Lisa Leslie about Kobe Bryant's grape case shortly after his passing? Gayle King was out of line. I don't remember Snoop Dogg's portion of that. I do remember Gayle King bringing up that particular having that conversation. DL was talking disparagingly about Winsome Earl Sears. I literally said it. You can say what you want about black people if they're not Democrat or liberal. So this is why this whole accusation doesn't mean anything to me. They pick and choose what black people they want to protect, and they pick and choose what black people they're allowed to apparently throw or attack or throw under the bus. A black conservative woman talking about her looks. I think he said she looked like James Brown, if I recall. So they will allow this man to disrespect and dehumanize a black woman. And then I think the newest health general, I think, is a black woman that was just put up for nomination for the Trump administration. People are going to have something to say about her, I'm sure. So it's a very
Jeff,
interesting.
you remember when that white dude called that black ICE agent a house in? And then Torre said it was okay.
Yes.
In this case, this white man has a pass.
I saw hundreds of comments.
That's how bad it is.
Yeah, if you're a black ICE agent, they can say what they want. So it's very, very clear that this is not about black unity to me. This is about a particular type of black unity. This isn't about everybody in particular. Great show, Brother Jeff. Y'all speak the truth. Thank you, Alan, for the $2. Who else we got? Greg Biggs, 10 jewels, gold coin. Kata Combs, $20. Honestly, who gives a damn what they think at this point? They hate on truth. They hate on accountability. The worst thing Stephen A. has done and continues to do is apologize for his remarks because they never do. Woo, Jesus. Man, Avery Carter, $5. Only black men are held to that standard that Darwin's talking about. Yeah, I can kind of see. I think in every group, I wonder if it's probably a gendered thing. If I'm gonna be honest with you, I think Darwin may be on to something that I think every group may have certain rules for men versus women. I don't think this is a uniquely. It might be at its worst here in this community, but I get your point. Luis Sosa, thank you for the 5. Any black man who wants to hold the community accountable is in the coon category? ? It seems like it. Eagles fan for life. Shout out to you, good brother. 10 jewels hiding. Thank you. Catacombs again at $5. It don't matter if you get on men also, they still gonna hate. Yeah, it seems like it. And last few, Avery Carter, $10. I watch Anton Daniels. It seems to me that y'all don't watch The Millionaire Show. He goes in depth about different subjects, which is true. He also has different shows, which is also true. So thank you for that, sir. Lee Turner, thank you for the $1.49 super sticker. Silent Sniper, $10. But then the question would be, if I want to fix the behaviors in the black community, why should I care about what someone outside of the community is doing? That's, again, what Stacey's saying. I think two things could be true. And what Stacey's saying is legit. If you're not able to look at additional factors or additional communities outside of the black community, you're going to blame black people for things that's also not their fault. So that's a legit thing where it's like you do have to acknowledge both internal and external factors as well. Avery Carter, $5 victimhood sales as well. Dub Will, thank you. When it comes to black folks in the Democrat Party, the words of Lyndon Baines Johnson are alive and well. He said he would have these ninjas voting. What do you say, 100, 200 years or something like that? And then last couple, Wes, thank you for the 10. Terrell Owens has 5 children with 4 white women. Why are we using him as a point of authority? Stephen A. Smith should stop funding to any organization that gave him the middle finger. He gave millions. Damn, I didn't even think about that. And that's why I said before, people pick and choose when they want to pull on that black card, because they change the rules when it comes to who you vote for and what gender you are and what ideologies you're currently espousing. Still human made. Thank you for the $100 banger. In the West, we've been conditioned so most stay silent or go along with injustice, fearing loss of career, assets, or ostracism. Exactly what Darwin said. We've bred contrarians to remove the shame of being a pussy. Those pussies let injustices persist, hence endless corrupt institutions.
So hold it right there real quick.
Yeah.
Let me just frame this question. You don't gotta stay on it long because I know you got the chats and we gotta roll. So you remember how when we had these conversations about men and black women in relationships and the black women say that they aren't protected. And then you hear black men say, well, they don't listen to me. She don't listen to me. We can't tell them nothing. You know, they call us leaders or whatever. They won't even listen to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we shouldn't have to come out and risk our lives or either step in front of confrontation for them on their behalf if they don't listen or they're just running around loose and wild and out of order, right?
Sure.
What if I told you that there's a great number of people that have that same mindset when it comes to the black community? Black people don't buy from me. I set up my business in there. They buy from the Asian company. I went out of business. They don't do X, Y, and Z to elevate me. They don't open program. They open doors with me. Don't do nothing for me. Last time I checked, they tried to rob me. So I'm not going to speak on their behalf. I'm not going to say, what if there's a great deal of black people out there that's just like that the same adjacent of how if you don't rock with me, if you don't align with me morally, I don't owe no allegiance to you. I don't owe no allegiance to speak up for you or speak against things because you're not aligned with me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The same way we do black women. They if you were out of order, the hell with you. You hyenas, what they call them, hyenas, right?
Hyenas, yeah.
Yeah, so
now that's a good point. I think it's different when it comes to commentators. Because commentators are talking about macro issues. They're talking about populations. They're talking about trends. So by default, you are going to talk about something. You just get to decide what it is you're going to talk about. But the average everyday person who's just moving about living their life, I get that. I get that. Where it's like in my community, which is extremely diverse, like in Jersey, you know, if something's happening on the block, I potentially could intervene just because it happens to be in my neighborhood. But 2 blocks over, I might not be aware of it or even care to know. It could be a combo of proximity, exactly what you said about race, a variety of things. It's like, you know, so for me, it's like but this the problem. On one end, if you're minding your business, working, paying your bills, staying in your lane, working with those that want to work with you, loving those that love on you, cool. But if you're showing outward hate and disdain and trying to target people because they don't vote like you, because they're critiquing stuff that's happening in your community, that to me is you have an over investment in trying to control how black men think, view, and express themselves.
It's just that like people like Dr. Umar, like I heard it in his voice when he was really failing, like he was really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost felt like he would, like if he had to go do it all over again, he would have never even tried to do anything for black people. Because he was getting to a point where he wasn't able to get no help and other things. And I understand all the controversy. But I think you have a great deal of black people that want to be blackity black. They want to be pro-black. But every time they get out there to do it, it's like something about black people just sets them back to a point where they were like, you know what, I would just rather just do for my family.
What it is,
and sort of like what he said, stay silent or whatever.
Yeah, and you know what it is? I think, let's not use Stephen A as an example. I think we attack our own. That's the best way I can say it. When Barack Obama, at the height of his powers and popularity, when he was still in office, when he tried to do what Bill Cosby said about the need to refocus on families and fathers being in the home, whole magazines, black women in publications start coming out and saying how disrespectful it was and how we got it. I just read it in Delano Squire's book, and quote for quote, showing what you're saying is legit. they're fine with you as long as they can control you. But you can't speak to what you see is broken in this community if it goes against the boule, if it goes
Right.
against certain groups. That's just the reality of it. It's a cost.
I think they even called Lil Wayne a coon or for saying that, hey,
Yeah,
look, I don't got nothing against a white man. I was shot or something. I was on the floor bleeding out, and it was a white man, a white police officer that came in and ushered me to life or whatever, or took care of me. So
Yeah, but I think, in all fairness, I think they said that because Lil Wayne said there's no such thing as racism. Like,
Oh, okay.
I wanted to say this in respect to what Jeff was saying. I get what you're saying, Jeff, when you said if people sometimes people try to, no, vote my way. I get that. Or people will I forget how you put it. You said people will try to shame you and things like that into voting your way. I think we kind of have to, because we all know, everyone on this panel knows some things can be proven a fact. We can look it up right now. Some things can be proven, right?
Yeah.
I think that thing, there's fine text in that thing. I understand what you're saying, like people just saying vote where I vote. But I think that there are some times where the critiquing of certain individuals is warranted. Like Lil Wayne did kind of mess us up a little bit. Listen, you guys have to think about this. How many interviews have you seen Lil Wayne do? There's a reason. And the woman told him when he was doing that interview, she was like, right? So, and there's a reason you haven't seen.
He went the colorblind route. Yeah, he went the colorblind route. Like, so I again, I agree. Like, so granted, with that said, but I think what Media Man and many of his posts that he posted today, I think it means something when we're very quick to throw out our own because we say things that are a little bit unpopular. And I want us to be careful. Y'all are turning y'all back on people we've known for 30 years for politicians that don't know you exist and wouldn't piss on you if you was on fire.
Yeah.
And I want us to be careful that there's a legitimate argument for a lot of y'all around the nation that some of these people that you're coming at are probably currently doing more out of pocket for Black people than the people your ass keep electing who keep giving you promises and not deliver. And this whole, when you go back to W.E.B. Du Bois versus Booker T, I think we're still in this space of feeling like we got to pick between these two camps. And I think that's what's happening even today. There are Black independents, just Black conservatives, there's Black liberals who all have their lens of how they think things can improve. And if you're silent and you don't think Black people, there's nothing to address, there's nothing to improve on, there's nothing to change, that's your view. There's other people who think the exact opposite, and y'all both Black. So let's try to at least separate the whole every Black person that says something about what we need to improve on with our academics, with how we're raising our kids, with how we're conducting ourselves in public. If your conclusion is all of those people, that group, are white supremacists, we're not going to progress. I promise you, collectively. We're not. But if you're willing to work with the people that you have these quote unquote disagreements with, we probably can build more. In fact, I know we can build more with Stephen A than without him, especially in media.
Right. I agree.
I know that we can build more with Anton with him than without him when it comes to content creation. I know that. So when y'all see all these white folks who vehemently hate each other but keep hopping on each other's platforms and still doing opportunities and debates and still doing stuff with each other.
Good point.
Keep that part in mind.
Yeah.
When y'all see all these Democrats and Republicans who look like they hate each other on camera, and then you see they go into each other's weddings, go into each other's bars, we're the only groups that keep cutting each other off and ending up with smaller and smaller amounts of Black people that we can do and build with.
Yeah.
All these other groups are not doing. You think Chinatown, they all think in one accord with everything? Probably not. There's no group that's a monolith, but they figured out a way to stick together. So if we can at least point out what we're doing wrong when we're killing ourselves, what we're investing our time in, how we're being controlled, and how we can come to an agreement, I think we're making a mistake, man, when we're throwing out these people, let alone these brothers, man.
Hey, Jeff,
So
really
This
quick,
ties into what
really quick. I wanted to see what you
Yeah, yeah.
thought. Like you comparing us to, and I agree with what you said, but you comparing us to other groups of people who have not suffered like catastrophic levels of psychological damage that we have. Like, listen, I tell people, black people are not okay, man. We're not well mentally. We're not well, man. We listen. They have 10 suicidal hangings here lately. I don't know what that did for you guys. Brother, that affected me. A lot of the stuff we said, it affected me. We are some messed up people, man. And I think no one wants to say that. So when you compare us to other races of people, it's kind of difficult, man, because they don't have going on with them psychologically what we have going on, man. We're taking each other's lives.
But
and
I think
I agree, and I want to finish these super chats before we close out. I agree, but that's even more so of an argument for us to not be so quick to throw each other away. As hard as it is, as complicated as it is, and as messy as it is, y'all will turn y'all backs on people that have been at your weddings, people who have given you money, people who have watched your kids, people who have shown up to fight on your behalf because of who they voted for. That's what y'all are at a spot where y'all are turning y'all back on black men that's saying we're not comfortable continuing to be led by a political party that we believe is weaponize our women against us. So there's black men that may check off every box you can think of, but you'll not date, won't procreate, won't deal with them off of something like that. I'm warning y'all. We have less allies, like Stacey said. We ain't got all these allies. And love them or hate them, he's also putting money in your pockets. And if you want to pull his coattails, you want to pull him behind the scenes and say, hey, can you follow up with this? Because Stephen A. Smith is one of the few people at his level that's extremely approachable.
I agree with that.
In the next 12 months, I might get lucky enough to be able to get in contact with this brother in some way, shape, or form. Most people on TV, I can't do that with. We can do that with him. And those very people in that organization, they could have done that with him. And he asked them to talk to him. He asked them to follow up with him. And what did that president do? She ran to everybody else to talk about him versus saying, we didn't like how you criticized Jasmine Crockett about how she was conducting herself that may have slightly contributed to how she lost that election. We didn't like how you criticized VP Harris about how she conducted herself or the whole agenda of her just getting the nomination without going through the primary. We would have preferred that you had handled it this way. But they weren't doing that. What y'all are doing is y'all following Boule rules, and there's going to be consequences because y'all keep thinking when y'all keep dropping this hammer that there's not going to be more men that's going to start to see what's actually happening. There's a reason why there's a hemorrhaging, brother. There's a reason why there's starting to be a little cracks. When they talk about the black manosphere and the red pill and the this and the that and all these different groups, they're putting more time, more money, more energy trying to critique the thing that's growing. It's growing because they're attacking something and they're not delivering on the thing that they're saying you need to stay a part of anyway. It's not leading to more marriages. It's not leading to more children and families. It's not leading to more wealth for all of us collectively. It's not leading to more ownership collectively for all of us. So they keep telling you to be a part of something that's not leading to something better. So y'all can keep attacking people, or y'all can say, this is, you know what? Maybe we got to save what we're saying for Stephen A. for Jesse Lee Peterson. Because those are not the same black men to me. But y'all are starting to act like all black men that step out of line is stepping out for the same exact reasons.
I agree.
So that's my only warning. And again, I have disagreements with Stephen A. So Beats, thank you for the 10 jewels. Thank you, good sir. Pop Light Brown, thank you for the 10 jewels as well. Lord Geotron, thank you for the 5 black women's are astrology thinking tarot card reading demon word Jesus liars and degenerates. Shout out to the teacher of City Island. Now even with stuff like this, and I'm going to try to get better with acknowledging, like, thank you for the $5, brother. But listen, brother, I know that there are legit, especially with the Black Lives Matter ladies, there was some questionable belief systems that these ladies have had that was very, very concerning. a lot of black women are not like this. And we're acknowledging like a lot of the black women that's making the image of black women be torn down. It's a minority to me still. I still think it's a minority, but they're loud and they're visual. I mean, they're visible. And we, this is two things could be true, brother. But thank you for that for sure. Blue Bronco, $2. Thank you. We need more Joe Jacksons. And
I agree with that.
I'm gonna make sure I'm not going to further. Lee Turner, gifted one, the real Stacey Prince membership. Shout out to you for becoming a member of his channel and platform officially. Jay Wade, thank you for the $5. Darwin gave my life story. Now I only help inmates. Shout out to you, good brother, and shout out to everybody that works in the prison. I used to work in one, and it really is a radically different experience that lets you know just how much work needs to be done. But shout out to everybody who sacrifices and works or donates their time when they can. Detroit XRP, thank you for the 250 jewels. Still human made. Hey, another $50 banger. The black community is selling itself short. Why diversity in lifestyles and thinking today means the old pre-1980s mentality should be shelved. Let it thrive and evolve. Allow ideas that contradict your own and end group think based only on skin tone. Abso-freaking-lutely, man. Thank you for that. Avery Carter, $5. Need and to have a show on breaking down black liberal and black conservative. You know what, brother? You're right about that. You're right about that, because I think a lot of people would realize where they actually stand, especially in terms of how much the parties have shifted. And people would probably be shocked if you actually just went through a checklist of what they actually stand for. Thank you, Gio, again for the 102 jewels. Get over here and here, finisher. Thank you for the 5. I'm hearing black people saying they are trying to replace us with foreign blacks. That's another conversation for another day. Because I know we're all tired. Gregory Scott, Jeff, remember the call from a few years ago to save your community, black man? Yes, indeed. Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see what that actually looks like now. EDC, member for 3 months. Y'all got the real fresh Stacey Prince in here. And then last but not least, man right here, becoming a new YouTube member of his channel and platform. So gentlemen, those are all the super chats. So to kind of close things out, man, thank y'all, because we challenged each other. We went at each other with different views and perspectives, and it was definitely very nuanced. So to close things out, I'm going to let the audience be able to check this out later on. Everybody, if you haven't done so, please make sure that you like this wherever you're watching from. Make sure you follow all the gentlemen that you see on the screen on all their respective platforms, and feel free to again to show love or become a member if you have not done so. And to close things out, I'm just going to play a few clips, and then the episode will obviously close. So everybody have a good evening, and we will see y'all on the other side. Peace.
This is the reason why I'm torn on the award. Stephen A. Smith has been criticizing black men for years.
So you don't think that? Okay, sorry.
No, go for it.
I know that people are saying black women. Did she specifically only say black women?
So
I know the story has been black women
so
because
I'll
that's
read,
been the latest thing, but I understand what you're saying.
So it says up here, it says he received this thumbs down. This is her. He received this thumbs down, has established a recurring public pattern of disparaging commentary directed at prominent black women across politics, sports, and media, according to the remarks delivered during the ceremony. The concerns, organizers said, goes beyond a single controversial comment. Such commentary reinforces harmful narratives, undermines the fair and respectful representation of black women in public discourse, and stands in direct conflict with NABJ's longstanding commitment to accurate, responsible, and inclusive portrayals of black communities.
Okay.
Right? Let me tell you why I bring up the black man. We're not about to get into the gender war stage. Let me tell you why I bring up his criticism of black men. He called Kwame Brown a bona fide scrub, called Jamarcus Russell a bum of a quarterback, suggested that Colin Kaepernick, that his workout requests was more about seeking attention than genuinely wanting to play, right? Draymond Green, LeBron James, LeVar Ball, all of these people, he's called them out, right? It's part of his job, Part of his job being in the sports realm to call out people who are in sports, whether you agree with him or whether you disagree with him. He has made the decision to step out into the realm of politics.
Correct.
Right? And now that he is in the realm of politics, there's a wider berth of people that are in his wheelhouse to be talked about and potentially criticized. And some of those people are women, even more so in a way than there were before. I mean, ESPN has covered the WNBA, but most of the time when ESPN covers the WNBA, they have ladies covering the WNBA. I don't know if Stephen A. Smith is a WNBA expert or if he gets too involved in what happens in women's sports. He was there to do male sports, to do basketball, and really it's the only sport he really knows anything about. Basketball, football, boxing sometimes. He's into all of these sports, but he fancies himself a basketball expert. In this situation, when he's in the political space, if he has a criticism about Michelle Obama, Jasmine Crockett, or Kamala Harris, is he not supposed to voice that criticism? Or is it inherently wrong to say you disagree with Kamala Harris on something, or you disagree with Jasmine Crockett on something, or you disagree with Michelle Obama on something? Now, I personally think, just to be clear and fair to everyone, that a lot of the criticisms that he's voiced, particularly the Jasmine Crockett criticisms, are more informed with Stephen A. Smith's obvious political reality, which is that he is a right-coded Black American powerful male, right? And him demanding respect from Jasmine Crockett to the president, or demanding that she not mention Republicans or not mention the president when the Republicans and the president had Jasmine Crockett in her sights, told me more about Stephen A. Smith than anything else. Every time somebody comes at Stephen A. Smith, they get a 30-minute to 1 hour diatribe. Jasmine Crockett was doing a lot of things for the constituencies that she has there in Texas, but the media would cover her going back and forth with the Trump administration because she would not allow herself to be bullied by them. So having a problem when somebody says something when they're being attacked, that tells me a little bit more about Stephen A. Smith. However, it's interesting that he's in this realm, he's in this place where these people are talking and making news, and his criticism of them as seen as inherently negative. Now, if he were Laura Loomer and he had called, now what he taught the verbiage situation, the street verbiage thing is to me like a no-go. That is calling somebody a Shaniqua. But if he had called Michelle Obama a Shaniqua, if he had called Kamala Harris a name that's tied to her Black female identity, then I could see reinforcing negative stereotypes about prominent Black women. But it seems as if they did stuff and he didn't agree with the way that they did it. And then he talked about it. The street verbiage thing, I'll grant you that, is very illuminating. And then he discussed it, and they're saying you can't do that.
She has to say at this particular moment in time. I hope the book is successful. When you had an opportunity as the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States of America to address so many different issues, and instead what you did was go into protective mode. You wanted to show your loyalty or what have you, and then you lose the election. And what you want to do is point out all the reasons that you didn't win and point the finger of blame, it seems, in everybody else's direction instead of yourself. I don't think that she's going to have any support from the Democratic Party. I can tell you that much. And then you have to take into consideration the level of support that she had coming in. This is an individual that was, that was used to bypass what some would say the democratic process is. There was no primary. Yes, Joe Biden was awful during that debate, that June 27th. Yes, he ultimately stepped away in July. But if you talk to many people within the Democratic Party, they were talking about how this was all part of the plan, because had he departed significantly earlier, when we all saw slippage in him, as far as I was on a record a year earlier, seeing the slippage, Had he departed, there would have been a Democratic primary. She would have had to compete to be the Democratic nominee. And there were people who did not want her to do that because clearly they didn't believe. Whether it was Gavin Newsom, whether it was Barack Obama or somebody else. And it seems like she knew it. And that was the kind of feedback she received. And to talk about all of that now, post-election loss, nobody wants to hear that. That's crying, that's whistling into the wind.
I got to say just quickly on this, she didn't speak up, but neither did Josh Shapiro. Neither did Gavin Newsom. Neither did all. I mean, everybody just kind of stood by and,
Oh, no, John. Don't do that. Don't do that. Josh Shapiro is the governor of the state of Pennsylvania. He has a job. He's in office, okay? The reality is that you were the vice president. You were swearing up and down that you were in the room for all the major decisions. And then come to find out, you're acknowledging that that was not the case. So if you're an American voter, which I am because I am no politician, I am an American voter. I am a conscientious observer. And I'm hearing this stuff from you now, which was opposite of what you were verbalizing to America in pursuit of their vote. Now that you're trying to sell a book and we're hearing a totally different tune, all I'm trying to say to you is that folks are going to remember that, and you weren't that strong of a candidate before. Respectfully, remember, she didn't make it to Iowa in 2020, okay? And then in 2024, you lost every swing state. You lost a popular vote for the first time since 2004. Nobody wants to hear it now. I believe her political career is over. Okay.
There is always one black man in the room whose job it is to make white people feel innocent. Stephen A. Smith auditioned for that role and got hired, not as a truth teller, but as a modern minstrel in a suit. Because see, Stephen A. does not speak truth to power. He performs for power. He doesn't challenge propaganda, y'all. He repackages it with a loud voice and a fake sense of balance. This uninformed man uses his massive platform to cosplay as the reasonable black voice for white comfort. He doesn't analyze power. He launders it. He doesn't disrupt narratives. He sells them in HD. And the role is familiar. The black man who gets rewarded not for being brilliant, but for being convenient, like Byron Donaldson, Tim Scott, and Clarence Thomas. Stephen A. Smith doesn't tell the truth, y'all. He makes white audiences feel justified in their racism, bigotry, and attacks on the margin.
You are a black journalist. You are both of those things. But that in this day and age, you've got to pick a team, and your team would be black people, and you should not criticize them.
Well, first of all, black folks criticize each other all the time, amongst family, amongst friends, or whatever. That's number one. Number two, it would matter to me more, Chris, if they said that. That's not what they said. They said I disparage black women. I was raised by black women. I have 2 daughters. I have 10 nieces. I have 4 older sisters. What the hell are they talking about? There's no truth whatsoever. I own my own production company and my own YouTube channel. I employ 6 black women. I have an accountant. I have a lawyer that are black women. I have big upped and promoted and supported black women all my life because they did it for me. So when you say that I am disparaging black women, you need to back that up. And as an organization, the NABJ failed to do so.
Any black man that has any type of celebrity, Stephen A. Smith is getting backlash because he decided to have an opinion on a black woman. And I know people have their feelings about Stephen A., but you're going to write him off just because he doesn't agree with a certain black woman? That's embarrassing. We do that a lot. And the black community doesn't have any room to be removing some of our best and brightest in certain positions just because they have a differing opinion. That's why I don't really discuss politics, because I think it's absolutely embarrassing that we are willing to remove people just because they vote a certain way. We divide ourselves more than the CIA could ever do. People use that as a joke. The CIA doing backflips because of the black community. We do it to ourselves. We will divide ourselves over skin color. We will divide ourselves over a man's height. We will divide ourselves just because a man doesn't prefer plus size women. We are our own worst enemy sometimes. We don't have room to be cutting pieces off the pie. Sometimes it's necessary because sometimes people just ain't gonna get it. But when we do that, we have to make sure that it's for good reason. Okay? And it can't be for something stupid as, oh man, this billionaire black man we can't rock with him because he's married to a white woman. Y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. Robert F. Smith. Yes, the black community does that dumb shit too. Byron Allen. He's one of our multimillionaires doing so much for the black community. Oh man, he married to a white woman. I ain't rocking with him. Really? That's what we gonna do, black community? That's why I don't get involved in that shit. Because it's dumb. Our own worst enemy, man.